right? So that's how I do it. Just those 2 points there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So another interesting, thank you for your insight on how this has impacted your daily life. Something that, and speakers can also continue to share this after I ask this question. They can answer any of the questions that have been asked before. But sort of going more specifically, do you think that the caste issues that the Sharanas faced and the Sharanas attempted to resolve, do you think that those caste issues are the same exact issues that we see today in modern race tension and in modern tension within different groups? Is it the same? Why or why not?
Guru Swami Ayya, the caste issue is something we must get away with, because caste is something which is very unique to Hindu, Brahmin, Vedic civilization. The discrimination in America, white, black, and so forth, it is not caste system. Although one of the Swamijis told me that, wrong answer.
Okay.
The right answer is the caste system is based on somebody assigned for the life, particular station in life. That doesn't happen in America. So let's forget about caste system. It applies only to the Indian civilization.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any views on this topic?
Hi, this is Shailendra from New England chapter. I think before I go back to the caste question, I want to touch on the two other topics the previous panelists talked about. I think one of the important one is, I always ask this question, the ism concept, where did it come? It's supposed to be the Basava, not only Basavana's Vachana, any Vachana you take, it's written in simple and easily, for a layman to easily interpret or understand. So there is no really need for us to go to somebody to explain what is this Vachana about. That itself, now you are putting somebody above, hey, I don't know anything, you explain it to me what it is. Now you are making that person go above you. It goes back to the same thing what in Hinduism Brahmins did to other castes. Hey, I know everything. I'm going to tell you what to do. Along the way, I'm going to modify that to make sure I am above you and you are below me. I think this is happening, continuing to, same with our Vachana concept. I think that we need to come out of that.
That's excellent.
Yeah. And then the second thing, I always tell, and this is what I follow, is this: every one of us, it is my view, you can disagree with me, has that hypocritism built into the human nature, body, whatever you want to call. It comes with different classes, So the way I try to look at that one is, how do I eliminate that from my body? How do I come out of that? And it's not going to happen immediately. You need to work on that one. Until you come out of that one, whether you talk about this Vachana, we talk about Kulaveda 100 times. And next minute, you are lying about something with very good knowledge. That you honestly know you are lying, and you just forgot, I just said this Vachana once, and are you doing it? We need to come out of that. Until we come out of that, all these discussions are going down the drain. So that's what I personally believe in. Now, the casteism, same thing. Basavana never said you follow, Veerashaivism, Lingayatism, and within Veerashaivism and Lingayatism, create 100 different, I'm pretty sure you're all familiar how many divisions we have. Oh, you Jangamaru. You Shiv Puja Madbodu. Neen Orgata Nintkandu, Mangalarti Tako. Basavana never said that. This is what I call the thing again. If you try to influence other and say, hey, you explain it to me, they're going to modify and make sure you are kept in the dark, and they're going to do whatever they want.
Right, right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have. Can we get a mic over there, please? Thank you. And while this is before you start speaking, the last question that's going to be put out, again, you can answer to any of these questions or anything anyone else has said, is how comfortable are we being Lingayats in America? And this was touched upon earlier, but what are certain practices of the Lingayata philosophy, the Virashaiva philosophy, whatever Vachana say, that we are very willing to adopt? And what are some Lingayata practices that we are still quite hesitant to adopt and embrace? And why do you think so? That we so willingly accept some practices and don't really follow through on other ones? But you can continue on.
Thank you. It's a very interesting discussion. And I like the way you started, saying that what it means to you. Now, I would say get your personal experiences, so I would start that. So I grew up in a very traditional Lingayat family. So we're all told to do the Linga Puja, and we all had to do that. My grandmother would call a priest. We had to wash his feet, and then feed him, and then we eat. So I never thought this is who we are. But then time passed. So I was traveling to abroad. So you cannot see me or whatever. Okay. So I was traveling abroad, and I was going to Japan and other places. So as usual, after the meetings and all, we would sit down and start a discussion. Then I used to go with I used to go with some of my Indian colleagues. So they would start the discussion in a lighter vein. They would say, hey, what do you Hindus do or Indians do? So my friend would start saying that we Hindus get married by going around the fire. So I was sitting with him and I nudged him. I said, we don't. So then something passed on. And on a lighter vein, he said, we all burn our dead. This guy is from a North India Hindu. Then I was sitting next to him. I nudged him. I said, we don't. Then we came back to the hotel. He asked me, who are you? See, all Hindus do this and you don't do this. And that really started thinking. That was a question you asked me, what it means to you. Though I was a very staunch Virashaiva, I didn't know what it means. Then I started searching for the answers. That's when I came to US. That's when I bumped into VSNA.
Where's Trish?
Yeah. Sorry, North America. So we started that. I had discussion with some of the priests. Then I started asking them, we are Virashaivas, we are doing all this, but when we go to court, they ask us to take oath on a Bible or a Gita. So then I said, why are we doing oath on Gita? We are Lingayats. We are not Vaishnavas or whatever. So that's where Shaivas. Then he said, no, you should not. That's where I would like to compliment Mr. Prabhakar. When he was appointed as the Refugee Commissioner in Canada, he has to take oath. And he came to me, Mallikarjun, I want to take oath on a Vachana collection. Now, that's what Virashaivas are meant to be. Then I realized it's not about puja or what is dasoha, what is kayaka. So all that I learned through various discussions with all the people like Mr. Manoli and all other things. Then we learned that. So Virashaivism, in my experience, or Lingayatism, I learned after passing all the stage and coming. Means the rituals that we teach do not tell us the religion. So that's how I learned. That's my part of the experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any other comments? We still have some time to go before the youth finish.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
So first of all, I would like to really appreciate very young people like you. And I mean this. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Give him a big hand. He was very passionate in his talk, and I could sense he was asking all the right questions. And you rightfully asked what is unique in our religion. So I'm really glad to hear that, and I hope that more and more of you, including my children who are also here, will also have the same questions and get the answers themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the other part that I see is a lot of Indians have moved. So if somebody, asked the question of casteism. And I had the opportunity to move back for a few years to India. And I'll tell you from first-hand experience, even today, there is very, very strong casteism in India today. So there's absolutely no doubt about that, even the politics and everything. And even here in the US, I believe there are 4 castes. There are blacks, there are whites, there are Hispanics, and what's the 4th one?
Asians.
Asians, thank you. And so there are also the same 4 castes in a different way here. So, and I can also see that a lot of people have moved from India and they are 100% copying all those good habits, but mostly bad habits also. So these type of questions that you're asking and increasing the awareness of what Basava taught and having these and having more of you question and bring that awareness to the overall population in the US is very important. And I want to give you and hope and pray God that you get more strength to do this.
Thank you.
You are asking a lot of questions, very good questions. Then the last question really stimulated me because this is something, I'm really thinking because like me, there are a lot of elders are here. We grew up with some values, some traditions, some rituals. And, whether we liked it or not, we have come here now and we have understood what is American culture. And we are now in a thought process how we need to guide young people like you. What rituals you need to follow. What rituals you need to should not follow. How you have to assimilate. How you have to assimilate with the main American culture without losing your own identity. That's a big challenge. And I think all of elders like us, we are tackling it in a different way. We don't have a common forum. We don't have a common agreed knowledge among us. Depending on our mentality, how liberal you are, how conservative you are, with respect to rituals, we are telling our children, you have to follow these things, you can assimilate in other things. So there is no agreed understanding among this group. But one thing, many people have talked about casteism back in home. I'm very proud. I have been part of VSNA from last 17 years. And I'm very proud that what in Karnataka or in India, what Lingayats have failed to follow the Basava principle more closely, we in USA, under VSNA banner, we are following that. We are more closer to Basava principle. And today I'm telling you all the VSNAs, even though we belong to different sub-communities, subcastes, today we all feel we are one. This is exactly what Basava wanted, if not in whole India, at least among Veerashaivas. That is such a difficult achievement to happen even today in Karnataka. I am very proud to be part of VSNA. We have achieved that here. Right. And also the oneness, we are all equal, irrespective of our sub-communities. That is very important, that we need to inculcate into the younger generation, telling that we are all one. Not only just Veerashaivas, others also. Anybody who joins us, they are equal. This is the ritual we need to continue. If we don't continue this one, then, we will get completely assimilated in a very different way. It has happened to a lot of my friends who brought up their children in a very traditional way. And again, I tell you, there's one very important thing. It's very controversial, but I want to bring the elephant in the room. Very controversial. How we have to assimilate our next generation. Main is our food habit. Food habit is the main thing. I know if I ask each one of you, you will give a different opinion about it. How you want your children, your grandchildren, how they have to continue their food habit. Think about it, because this is something, even if we don't assimilate today, in next 2 or 3 generations, they are going to be assimilated. So this is how we need to think, how we have to guide our young children. This is a big challenge to you now, Because Basava tells something, Vachanas tell something, Kalabeda, Kolabeda. What do you mean by Kolabeda? It's a very, very important thing, and I don't want to bring it to the discussion, but think about it, how we have to guide our children. That is very important.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, thank you. And I definitely have to thank my mom for, she's brought me up. And one of the things that is really interesting that you bring up is this idea of food habits. So, huh? Oh, Mom, please stand up. But what I do have to say is that she basically was like, you're a vegetarian. That's how our family has been. So I'm vegetarian, in the fullest sense. But I know, like, we had a Swamiji come to us recently. He came from about a year ago, a summer ago. He came, and I could tell that he was from a more conservative mata when it comes to how closely, like, we are not Hindu. We are definitely not Hindu. We are our own sort of sect, and we have nothing to do with Hindus. We are completely different. So he said that you cannot eat meat or you cannot drink because these sort of, when you drink, you act crazy in a drunken stupor, or when you eat meat, you are depriving a creature of its life and you're violating some sort of non-violence principle. But I guess my question is, if you aren't directly killing the animal, or if you still are a really good Virashaiva, you just choose to eat meat, what happens if you're the most active member of your community? What happens if I were to say, like, you eat meat? Does that make you any less of a Virashaiva? And, I guess that's a question to toss around. And I think that's really controversial, as you said, so we should probably not discuss it too much. Sure. Could we actually pass the mic back there?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
My friend is insisting that I should speak. The 1, 2, 3, 4. First of all, I want to tell you how Virashaivism has helped me. Over 40 years ago when we started, we had the same question, why Virashaivism? Some of our friends were saying, no, this is casteism, and we should not go. So we crossed over and said, stuck to Virashaivism. As I have traveled in VSNA, gradually I have learned to read Vachanas. You have to read over and over again, because after we are told, be good, we are good one day, next day we go back again. You keep repeating. Then some of my peer friends recognize a few years ago I had a setback in my health. After retirement, I think by the time I retired, I had burned down. So I went through Virashaivism, which according to me starts basic is Kayaka, good hard work, Dasoha, sharing, which I do, Linga Poshe, Linga Yoga, leading to meditation, Yoga Pranayama. After that, you have Vishishtadvaita and all those things. So I started practicing these. Yoga practice, pranayama, and vachana study bring balance to my life. So now I am talking to you like this, which I could not about 15 years ago. So I advise all of you, Virashaivism is applying Virashaivism every day. That is Kayaka, Dasa, Yoga, Pranayama.
Thank you.
Speak one sentence. I won't take much time. Since Botswana 800 years back, it took 800 years for United Nations to cite 32 human rights. And if you look back, Botswana propagated those human rights. All through his vachanas, dignity of man and labor, Vachana saw those rights 800 years back. You should be proud of that fact, but Botswana foresaw what United Nations saw 800 years later. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Just I want to add to Mr. Hiremat's comment. Food is one thing, but the language, bhashe enadala, that we need to teach our language, our mother tongue. That is very, very important. You know, we can translate and all, but if we can teach our language, that connects more than the, you know, food. The bhasha is very, very important. So,
Thank you.
question?
Yes, actually there was one comment. There was a lady in the back. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so what I would like to say, you know, going back to all these past comments, you know, if you look at some of the other religions, you know, you look at Christianity, you look at Judaism, you look at Mormons, you know, what are they doing? They are teaching the children from a very young age. It's a systematic way of how they teach. In fact, the Jews, you know, they teach the Torah in the original language. And then they have a ceremony, you know, when somebody has gained a certain amount of competence. I hope that, you know, you know, as a person who's younger, brought up here, to be part of that discussion, all of the elders here, to be part of a discussion, to see how we can systematically teach. You know, I don't want to say this, but you see Muslims, they teach Urdu. The kids can read the Quran. I hope that one day, you know, our community will get to be like that. Every, you know, Lingayat community in whatever city, they will have a small school or something. Even the Bhagavad Gita, they teach them. So a small school where it was systematically taught. See, the vachanas we are talking about, simple vachanas. But as you go, you know, further and further, they are much more complicated vachanas.
Right.
Going into the Shakti, Vishishtadvaita, Siddhanta, all that we need to know. The history we need to know. And that will give that foundation. You look at the Mormon kids, by the time they finished high school, they are good enough to go to other countries. They are good enough where they can inculcate those philosophies into the other people that they meet. We too can do this. Every one of our youth can be a light. They know who they are. They know what the history is. They know what the vachanas say to guide and to guide others.
That's excellent.
So
Thank you so
I
much.
hope that somewhere at some point we can come together to make that curriculum that we can, you know, implement.
Excellent. Thank
That
you so much.
I beseech you, I beg all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just add one? I'll just add one point.
Really
right?
quickly, please. Thank you.
I'll make it quick.
Okay.
Just to follow up on this, we at the Boston area, we wanted to do the same thing to start with very early age. That's where we are coming up with a program, are coming up with an agenda. We call it ourselves as an International Basava Center. We want to bring there, we want to start this kind of activities. I just want to make sure that we are trying to do that. We are not there yet, but we want to start in some place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So with that, we are going to have to close this. This was the Virashaivism in America discussion, and I think it went really well. And hopefully, just to point out a few things, tomorrow we are having the Anubhava Goshti. That is this was segregated between adults and youth. But tomorrow during the Anubhava Goshti, everyone will be there together. So we urge all of you to come, express your opinions, debate, just like the Sharanas did. Also, another thing, if we could have more participation that's equal across the board, that would be excellent. We had, just to put it out as a matter of fact, we had 2 women speak today, and to hear other perspectives, just like how the Sharanas encouraged, I think would be excellent. So everyone, please come prepared tomorrow with any sort of questions or concerns you have. With that, Trishul is going to tell you a bit about what the youth discussed and what their viewpoints were.
Hello, everyone. It sounds like you have all had a very good discussion here. No, one more round of applause to Varun for leading that round. We also had a productive discussion on the other side of the convention venue among the youth. And I guess how we formatted it was I asked a question, we let the youth discuss among themselves for a bit, and then they shared their answers to me back again. So I guess I'll go through the questions that I asked and some of the answers that I received. The first question that I'd ask is, how comfortable are we as Lingayats in America? And what are we comfortable with? What are we not comfortable with? And some of the answers that we got mainly, I guess, concentrated on the ideals of Veerashaivism versus the practices of Veerashaivism. They believe in the ideals. They believe in the idea of meditation, and the idea of finding that part of yourself that tells you what to do and kind of aligning your actions with that part of yourself. They believe in that. What they don't believe is that it must necessarily come through Linga Puja. The fact that it doesn't necessarily have to come through holding a black stone in your hand and meditating towards it. I can come through meditation through any numbers of means. One particular thing that was mentioned was a discussion with Ramzan Dargah last year, where essentially it opened the eyes of one of the members that being a Veerashaiva means that you can marry whoever, just like Basavana organized the marriage between the Brahmin and the low caste back in his day, that you can be whatever you would like. But they fear that the practices of Veerashaivism today don't reflect that. They believe that Veerashaivism has in itself become, so to say, a caste today, where we prefer to stay among ourselves, where we prefer to say that we should try to marry a Hindu, try to marry within ourselves, that marrying a Muslim would be not as entirely acceptable. And so, I guess, going back to summarize the point of that question, they believe in the ideals, but believe that the practices have sort of twisted those ideals from their original meaning. Now, the second question we asked was, how is Veerashaivism relevant to you, and are there any recent experiences where you can identify the impact of Veerashaivism? And the two things that were mentioned in that discussion was that Veerashaivism and Basavana are prime examples of people who stood up for the little guy back in Kalyana, the people who were trampled upon by those in power. And they believe that is particularly relevant to us living in the political climate of America today. It is sad to say that America is not completely equal in the way that biracially or like socioeconomically that many would like it to be, and that is something they felt must be addressed. And another thing that they felt was very relevant is Basavana saying Kaya Kave Kailasa, work is worship. One particular example was one of our members said in her organization they do service work, but for some of the members service work means fulfilling out those service hours so that they don't get in trouble with the people who are in charge, whereas for others like herself it means doing the service because it's service, and doing service is a core tenet of Veerashaivism and a thing that you should just do as a person. And from there we went into another discussion about, essentially the question was phrased as immigrant children we're known to work hard. Our parents ask us to always go into the best colleges that we can, get the best jobs that we can. And the question that was asked was essentially, are we being raised to do service for the betterment of the community and for others, or are we being raised to seek the better for ourselves? And if it's so, is it wrong for our parents to want the best for their children? And the answers we got to that question were mainly that no, it's not wrong for our parents to want the best for our children. To say that they would like us to be a doctor or engineer or lawyer because it creates excellent stability for them is not a bad thing. That's good parenting. What they feel distorts the original philosophy of Veerashaivism is the discouragement that they receive for entering into other fields. For example, becoming a doctor or a lawyer or engineer at the expense of doing something else that they like. And the reason they feel this way is because they feel that as immigrants coming to America, the number one thing you're seeking, as some would believe, is stability. The fact that you want to gain a hold in this nation and bring yourself to par. But for them, they believe that's an unnecessary kind of consideration because they've grown up here. They feel they have that stability and would rather be allowed the freedom to pursue what they believe, knowing that that it isn't necessarily like if you take that hard work that you put into becoming a doctor, into an engineer or a lawyer, and put that into something else, that you will achieve something, that you will make something great of yourself and be serviceful to your community as well. They believe that that should be more emphasized in their community. And thank you. And Varun will summarize the adult portion of this discussion.
So one quick announcement before we hand it off to the rest of the cultural programs. For tomorrow, the Anubhava Goshti, because our theme is Vachana, a guiding light, we're going off of Vachanas. So thinking of topics, controversial questions within our community that arise from Vachanas. So if you look in your convention bag that you received, Abhinav's been super awesome, and he's put in a copy of those vachanas that we'll be looking at tomorrow. It's a white paper, 8.5 by 11. If you don't bring those tomorrow, we also have copies, but please look over them and think about what you want to talk about tomorrow. And hope everyone comes. Thank you. Oh, yes, I completely forgot. So, if the youth want to know what the adults talked about, some of the things that stuck out was, the first question was, how is it being a Lingayat in America? And the first answer that we got talked about how this person felt spirituality and felt a connection only after she felt slightly uncomfortable at first, thinking about even converting to Christianity at one point. But later, through turning back to the Vachanas and looking to the core of Veerashaivism, she progressed to feel personally, she tells the Lord Shiva. And then we also had a few comments made on how emotional intelligence and workplace training relates in many ways to Veerashaivism. We had one concern brought up on how we're kind of all over the place right now. Jews in the community often start teaching their children from the Torah very early on how to read the Hebrew script as well. And we have Muslims with Urdu